Now, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, has been in Congress for 17 terms, and during her roughly 3 decades in office, Pelosi's salary has ranged from just $60,000 to over $200,000, and yet somehow during that time, Pelosi has become one of the wealthiest women in America with a net worth of around $200 million. Now, apparently, the returns on her stock portfolio are very impressive. Now, Senator Josh Hawley has introduced a bill in the Senate to ban insider trading among members of Congress. Needless to say, Pelosi is not exactly lining up to support the bill. Joining us now with more, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. Senator, good to have you back. You've introduced your bill. I've taken a look at it. I agree with it wholeheartedly. Shouldn't it be a standard practice among elected officials that they recuse themselves or put their money in a blind trust, knowing that it's part of the job that they are likely to get insider information?
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. It is 100%. And listen, when people get sent to Washington, they ought to be focused on what the voters sent them there to do and not distracted by trying to put a buck in their pocket. And the truth of the matter is, Nancy Pelosi, who I think this last year alone traded over $5 million worth of stock. I mean, she's making a heck of a lot of money, she and her family are, off of their position. Here's what I would say. If members want to invest, fine. Invest the way most Americans do. Put it in broad-based, diversified mutual funds, or put it in a blind trust. But owning individual stock, trading stock, is just something that members of Congress shouldn't do. And this ought to be an easy issue. But Nancy Pelosi, she wants to be able to keep making money.
All right. So the question is, what if a spouse of an elected official, should they be allowed to invest? Because I would assume that I won't call it pillow talk exactly, but I would assume that there might be conversations and spouses can be privy to insider information as well, right?
Yeah, I agree. No, and my legislation, Sean, would not allow spouses to own individual stock either. Same rules, you know, for the spouse and for the member of Congress, it's the same rule that you've got to sell the stock. And if you don't want to sell the stock, then you got to put it in a blind trust where you have no control over it whatsoever. What people should not be doing is what Pelosi and her family has been doing day after day, year after year, which is making millions of dollars in stock trades as she sits there as Speaker of the House.
Yeah, well, I mean, for most people, I think that's just basic common sense. Do you think there are enough senators, Republican, Democrat, and enough congressmen, Republican, Democrat, that will support what is, to me, just a basic, fundamental fiduciary responsibility to avoid even the appearance of impropriety?
Well, I sure hope so, Sean. You know, the Democrats right now, many of them don't want to touch this because of Pelosi. And because, you know, it's just toe the party line and let's let her protect her privileges. But I would hope every Republican in Congress and every Republican in the Senate would say, listen, this is just basic responsibility to your constituents. We ought to be out there saying that we are the party who are focused on doing what voters want us to do, not focused on lining our own pockets. And that's why I've introduced my legislation. I hope every member of the Senate will co-sponsor it.
I don't know if you heard the earlier segment with Alan Dershowitz and Greg Jarrett. And Joe Biden has said he will only choose an African-American woman. Do you believe that to be constitutional?
Well, I believe it to be typical of this administration, which has been the most race-obsessed, gender-obsessed in terms of trying to deconstruct genders, actually. I mean, this is a hard, woke left administration. And so I wasn't surprised at all when the president said that this was what he's going to do. Here's what I think, Sean. It's a real moment of truth for Joe Biden. He's deeply unpopular. He's been the most divisive president of my lifetime. Now he's got a choice. Is he going to nominate a pro-America, pro-Constitution justice, or is he going to keep doing what he's been doing and divide this country with a hard, woke left activist? We're about to find out. I hope Republicans are ready to stand up for the Constitution.
Yeah. All right, Senator, we're going to watch very closely. Appreciate you being with us.